What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. Wanted to talk to you guys about EMP, electromagnetic pulse. And I think a lot of preppers underestimate the likelihood of an EMP happening. And I wanted to just talk a little bit about EMPs, because a lot of guys don't really talk about EMPs a lot because they feel that it's something that's very far-fetched. And I wanted to just talk a little more about EMPs because I really don't think it's that far-fetched. I think it's definitely a strong possibility. When you look at the technology of North Korea and China and Russia and Iran, you know, they are already launching satellites into space. Like Iran and North Korea, they already have capability to launch satellites into space. And we do know that during the Cold War, the Russians, due to declassified documents after the collapse of the Soviet Union that were released to the public, we know that the Soviets had a program where they were gonna, or actually I don't know if they did or if it was just a proposed, I don't know if it was just a proposed plan or if it was actually a real plan, but if they actually implemented it or not, I don't know if they implemented it, but their plan was basically to put an EMP on a satellite, and once the EMP is on the satellite, they can detonate it at any time they choose, you know. And that's a danger because, first of all, they can conceal the EMP by putting it on a satellite. They could say that it's just, oh yeah, we're just launching a satellite, you know. There's nothing weird about a satellite, you know. If you launch a satellite, that's a very common thing. You know, every country launches satellites. And, you know, so they could put that EMP on the satellite and launch it, and nobody knows that there's an EMP on it because they can just say that it's a satellite. And then once it's in orbit, they can detonate that EMP at any time that they want. You know, the satellites can orbit the Earth for 20, 30, 50, 40 years, you know. So that those EMPs are probably up in our atmosphere right now, orbiting the Earth. They could be Chinese, they could be Russian, but you know, we do know that the Soviets had plans to do that, you know, in the 60s, okay? In the 60s, guys. What is that? 60 years ago? So chances are they're up there. They're up there right now, orbiting the Earth. You know, there's satellites with EMPs on them. And at any time, Russia, North Korea, China, Iran, they can just push a button and send us into the Stone Age and black out the entire US. All right? And do I think that that's a possibility? I absolutely do. All right? A lot of you guys would never, if I told you a year ago that there would be a global pandemic that would shut everything down and people would be working from home and we would have the biggest GDP drop in history, okay? Which is what we had. I mean, we had a 33% drop in GDP in Q2 of 2020. 33% drop in GDP, guys. Think about that for a minute, okay? 1/3 of our economy was shed during the lockdown from the pandemic. All right. If I told you that would happen in 2019, if I was a traveler from the future and I landed into America in 2019 and I tried to warn people and I said, guys, you know, I'm from the future. There's going to be a big pandemic next year. We're going to lose 1/3 of our economy. It's going to plunge the world into a global recession. people would be like, man, this guy needs to go to a mental institution or something, you know. But look what happened, guys. All right, this was worse than the Great Depression. All right, the second quarter after the lockdown, the drop in the GDP was the worst ever in American history. All right, worse than the Great Depression. Their Great Depression, the GDP dropped like 25%. So, you know, it just shows you that, you know, and I've done videos on it, that, you know, SHTF always happens when you least expect it. You know, you always have to expect the unexpected when it comes to things happening. Whether it's, you know, your flat tire on the side of the road, right? You always get you ever notice that you always get a flat tire, or your car breaks down when you're, you know, having a good time and you're just doing your normal routine things, and you just don't expect it, and boom, you get a flat tire, or check engine light comes on, you know, same thing. All right, nobody expected a pandemic. Came out of nowhere. All right, and I think that's what's going to happen when there's an EMP and when there's a World War III. I don't think anyone's going to expect it. It's going to catch people by surprise, because you know, Americans today, we're so detached. We're so detached from the realities of the world. You know, we think that, you know, just on a little hiking trail here in the Catskills close to my house, you know, we think that nothing bad could ever happen to us. You know, we think that nothing bad will ever happen. You know, just like 9/11, you know, nobody expected 9/11. Look at that beautiful stream there. Just coming, it's a little stream from the rain. We just had a storm. All right, just look at 9/11, guys, okay? Nobody expected 9/11 to happen, all right? Nobody. Came out of nowhere, all right? Same thing, you know, if I told you a year before 9/11 that there would be an attack on the World Trade Centers and the biggest towers in New York City would come crumbling down and thousands would lose their lives, no one would believe it. They would say, wow, that's really far-fetched, Greg, you know, that's far-fetched. And it's that thinking, that mentality that people have today, that everything is far-fetched and nothing could ever happen. And here we are, you know, in a lockdown, a permanent lockdown. It's not going to go away. We're going to be wearing masks forever. The vaccine is not going to work. They've already said that the immunity for this virus doesn't last more than a few weeks. So unless you want to get a vaccine every month, you know, it's just not going to happen. So they're going to have to figure something out. But here we are, you know. And so I personally think that an EMP is definitely probable. Especially, like I said, when you consider the fact that there could be satellites in space right now with EMPs on them orbiting the Earth, and those satellites act as a weapon of last resort for China and Russia, you know. So if we attack them, all they have to do is wait for that satellite to come around and float over us and float over the US, and then they can just push the button and out our lights go, and then we're back in the, you know, Stone Age. Everything's dark. So, you know, and like I said, they already had plans for that during the USSR, the Soviet Union. You know, they had plans for that, okay? Like I said, they had plans to do that, the Russians, 60 years ago. You guys think that they didn't put those plans into action? Of course they did, you know? So the question now is, what are you going to do? All right, if there's an EMP right now, if you're watching this video and all of a sudden your computer shuts off, your room goes black, you can't see anything, it's pitch black. You go outside, all your neighbors' power is out, the street lights are out, everything is out. You know, what are you going to do? Do you have the proper preps in place for that? You know, do you have all your critical electronics protected and stored in EMP bags and Faraday cages? I've done reviews on my website of Faraday bags. What they are just like literally Ziploc bags that are made out of Mylar, and you could put all your critical electronics in there and zip it shut, and it protects the electronics from an EMP. And what I typically do, I have like a few of those Faraday bags, and what I do is I keep my critical electronics in there: cell phone, ham radio, night vision, and thermal optics. What else do I keep in there? Cell phone, thermal, ham radio, my Geiger counter, any kind of critical electronics I put in that Faraday bag. All right. And, and that will protect those critical electronics. Now, of course, you can make a Faraday cage if you really want to go crazy and you want to, protect your car. You could line your garage with copper and stuff like that if you really want to go crazy. But that's, to me, that's not really realistic, and if there really is an EMP, it's not going to matter if you protect your car or not, because you're not going to really be driving anywhere. Let's just put it that way. It's going to be total chaos. You're not going to want to drive after an EMP, because you're going to be a target, driving down the road with your headlights on in the middle of the night. Someone will just run out and, ambush you and shoot at your car and take all your stuff. So you're not going to really want to be driving after an EMP anyway. You're going to want to hunker down where you are and set up security. And look at these bullet holes on this stop sign here. Look like 30 caliber bullet holes here. This is a popular hunting area. Probably some local kids came here at night and just, screwing around. So it's actually a lost dog here. Pretty sad. Lost dog. His name is Cole. Anybody in the Kingston area, if you guys saw Kingston, New York, if you saw this dog missing since July 23rd, this looks like a black lab. Send me an email and I'll get in touch with this person or call that person. If you guys seen a black lab here off Myers Road in Kingston. So, you're not going to want to drive around after an EMP. It's just too risky. But you definitely want to protect your critical electronics, with Faraday bags, and, be ready to, exist without electricity, We recently had a power outage due to Tropical Storm Isaias, and a lot of people lost power. That's what it would be like, a power outage from a hurricane, but it would last, pretty much for 10 months or 12 months until they can get the grid back up, until they can repair the transformers. And, the biggest thing is that it's going to blow out a lot of transformers, and the transformers take time to fix. They're custom made, so you can't fix a transformer right away, because the transformers have to be built, custom. They're not mass produced, so it's not like the power company can just go out and buy a new transformer. They have to be built in a factory, and that takes months, and all the transformers would blow out. I mean, that would just be something that would be totally devastating. But are you guys prepared for that? Do you have the necessary food? Do you have the necessary food to survive? Canned food, freeze-dried food, grains, rice, vitamins, all right, macronutrients, micronutrients. Do you have a good water source? Do you have a renewable water source close by? Where can you get water close to where you live? Because I know a lot of people say they're going to bug out, but let me tell you, bugging out when there's no electricity, that's going to be hard, especially if your car doesn't work, especially if you have kids and a wife. You're not going to be hiking 100 miles with a wife and kids. My fiance she can barely make a few miles, that's her thing. Women have a lower physical capacity than men. And, you're not going to be dragging your family along a 100-mile bug out on foot. And your car's probably not going to work. Even if your car does work, it's going to be dangerous. So you got to think about the potential that you have to bug in. You know, what if you have to bug in? You know, if you have to bug in, do you have the necessary preps to survive? You know, do you have, like I said, food storage, water supply, renewable water that you can replenish your water? You know, like, is there a river close to your house that's clean, you know, that's not polluted? Is there any water bodies close to your house, you know, lakes, ponds, swamps, where you can replenish your water supply for drinking and for bathing and for, you know, washing your dishes? You know, those things are absolutely critical. All right. You know, so think about that. Food, water, security. Do you have firearms? Do you know how to use your firearms? Have you had enough range time with all of your firearms? You know, it doesn't matter if you buy a weapon if you don't know how that weapon behaves with different ammunition. You know, every type of ammunition, your rifle will shoot differently, or your pistol will shoot differently. You need to go to the range and try different types of ammo out, see how it groups, see what the ballistics are like. I mean, all these things take time. You're not gonna, once the power goes out, you're not gonna be going to the range. That's it. You're gonna have whatever you have and whatever skills you have, and that's it. That's all you're gonna have. So, you know, take the time to prepare yourself right now, you know, while you can, you know, before it's too late. You know, a lot of people are laid off now and on unemployment. If you're laid off and you're on unemployment, use your time, you know, prepare yourselves for a possible EMP, you know, and it'll carry across other scenarios, you know, World War III, economic collapse, you know, whatever, natural disasters. You know, a lot of the preps are the same, but for EMP, you definitely want to get a Faraday bag and at least protect your critical electronics. You know, that's essential. So, you know, that's pretty much it. You know, think about how would you prepare for an EMP. Obviously, you're going to want light sources. You know, you're going to want to be able to, you know, lanterns, batteries, flashlights. You're going to want ample supplies of you know, lighting. You know, you're going to need lighting. That's absolutely essential. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 P's. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And another thing I forgot to mention is, you know, plans. I always talk about plans. Make sure you have good security plans. You know, it's not just about, you know, stockpiling stuff, ammo, weapons, food, water. You have to have plans. Your plans have to be in place before an EMP, because once the power goes out, you're not going to be able to print out maps. You're not going to be able to research bug out routes. You know, you're not going to be able to do that. You know, it's going to be too late. Okay, so now is the time to go on your computer, research bug out routes, go on Google Earth. Do those things now. You know, print out and laminate topographical maps of your area, of your bug out area. You know, do some scouting. You know, go on foot and actually walk through your bug out routes. You know, have security plans, tactical plans. How are you going to secure your neighborhood? How are you going to secure your property? Where are you going to patrol? Where are your overwatch positions? You know, are you going to set up some maybe some sandbags and create some fighting holes and things like that? You know, you need to figure these things out now, okay? Not when the power goes out, because then it's going to be too late. So you need to have all that stuff set up. You know, if you have a house and you know you're going to be living there for the next 10 years, you should already figure out where your defensive positions are going to be, where your avenues of approach are. You should figure out, you know, you should create a safe room for your family. You should have some sandbags on hand, you know, to create fortified defensive positions. You should also measure out ranges and create some range cards, you know, even just measuring out all distances around your property. If you live in a rural area, even in an urban area, you should still, you know, measure out distances and, you know, because even an urban area can turn into a war zone and you may have to use your firearms, unfortunately. So, you know, planning is absolutely essential. It's a very overlooked aspect of prepping, all right? is planning. You have to have a good solid plan and plans in place, bug out plans, security plans, everything. All right, so now's the time to do those things. And you know, stay tuned to my channel, and I'm going to be doing all kinds of videos. I have to finish up my neighborhood security video. I'm going to do a home defense and home security video and show you guys how to secure your home. I mean, I'm going to do all kinds of stuff like that. So a good place to start is my channel, but there's tons of different YouTube channels. You can read military manuals. The most important thing is you need to go out there and you know, actually do the research yourself. Okay, you need to figure out where the avenues of approach are. You need to figure out where can you set up defensive positions. You need to figure out how you can patrol around your perimeter, your property, your neighborhood, your town, your region. You know, you need to link up with other preppers and form prepper groups now. You know, find like-minded people and create plans with your like-minded people, rendezvous points, things like that. That's absolutely essential, because once the power goes down, you're not going to be able to do all that. All right, it's going to be too late. So, you know, and these things don't take a lot of time. You know, they really don't. You know, you can spend a couple of hours and figure out your avenues of approach, your defensive positions around your house, and marking out ranges. You know, having reference points on your property so you know what the ranges are, and dead spaces where you can't you know, shoot direct fire into. You know, a dead space is an area that you can't target with direct fire. So a dead space could be like a brushy area with vegetation that you don't know, you can't really target that area because the brush will stop your bullets, or you can't see what's beyond the brush. That's a dead space. You want to mark out the dead spaces, things like that. So all right guys, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.